Chapter 3 of The Innovator's Dilemma by Clayton Christensen. Today we want to discuss in particular why great companies fail when faced with disruptive technologies, even though they do the right thing. Here's a quote from the book. The patterns of success and failure we see among firms faced with sustaining and disruptive technology change are a natural or systematic result of good managerial decisions. This is the Not Even Wrong podcast. It's November 10th, 2020. This is Krim Delco. For the day, the fund is down 6%. The market is flat. For the year, the fund's up 202%. The market's up 10%. We're outperforming by 192%. If you put $100 in Orange Capital Partners on January 1st, 2020, you would have $302 today, and you would have $110 in the S&P 500. Let's talk about Chapter 3. Chapter 3 is a crucial chapter explaining in a very nice, I would say parochial example, how the innovator's dilemma works. So Christensen is using the excavator industry as an example. And let's give a brief overview of the excavator industry and then explain how disruptive technology has changed the marketplace. Excavators industry has been around since the 19th century, and it's mainly driven by cable, and it's driven by steam engines. So we have large cable-driven steam shovels that are driving two main performance matrices. One is reach, the other is dig dirt per shovel. These are the key matrices of performance for customers in the excavator space. So for example, if you're a large mining company, you want to be able to reach far and dig a lot per shovel. These were the main matrices. Also, let's say if you build a road, you have to remove dirt, earth removal, all that stuff, building railroads, digging through the Sierra, building tunnels. You want large amounts of dirt being moved and far reach, so you want to reach far with your excavator. The excavators were gigantic. It took trucks to move them, a very, very inflexible industry. Then we have an innovation in the 50s, the hydraulics technology, which kind of started at the beginning of the 20th century and then crept itself up into the excavator industry. Hydraulics enabled much more flexible digging, less dig per shovel, but more flexible. You could do little holes next to your house, very precise stuff. Not the big stuff, but precise and very flexible. This is key because you didn't have to transport your equipment on massive trucks with oversized trucks, cars and police and all that stuff. You could just put it on the back of your truck, go to do a job, like let's say a gardener or landscaper could go and have a small excavator on the back of his truck, and then maybe next to landscaping also dig some shovels to maybe have a small creek in your garden or something like that. So what happens is now the excavator industry, let's say Bucyrus, the large gorilla in the market in the 1950s, is obviously aware of this technology and is trying to incorporate hydraulics into the existing offering. And the key, and this is the key of the chapter, and in my view, the key of the book, the problem that Bucyrus faces is that its large customers don't care about the performance matrices that hydraulics offer at this point. So the whole conversation, starting with budget allocation, salespeople allocation, capital allocation, you name it, all these things that are typical processes in companies start being pushed out because everybody's like, well, look, this new technology is fine, but our customers don't really care about it. So we're not going to allocate capital because we are not making money with this stuff. This is the key. We are not making money with this stuff. So what do you want us to do? This is the key problem, and it illustrates the innovator's dilemma, because what happens next? Well, the hydraulic guys, the new entrants that start doing this, let's say, call it the landscaper with the hydraulic shovel type market, which has nothing to do with mining, earth moving, construction companies, but those guys start buying it. There's a new market, and then the hydraulics industry starts getting better. This is the key. They start getting better, and when they start getting better through sustained innovation, they get to the point where they can compete with the existing guys for the large jobs in mining and earth moving and road construction and all that stuff. And that's when the new entrants start pushing out the existing entrants and dominate the market. This is exactly how disruptive innovation happens in Clayton Christensen's world. You have existing players catering to their customers, generating revenue, making money. A new technology comes along. It's not even part of that existing market, so you don't pay attention to it. It then develops a new market. It creeps up into your market, and by the time you realize that they are now competing for your existing customers, it's too late. And here's the key question: why it's too late? And I want to now draw the arc to Tesla. Here is the absolute key of this whole chapter 3. The problem is, once you realize that hydraulics is ready for prime time, you don't have the manufacturing ability and the scale to compete. It's a small sentence that Christensen puts there somewhere in chapter 3, but in my view, it's the absolute key, because you could always ask yourself, well, okay, even if you wait until, let's say, an earth moving company or a road construction company starts buying hydraulics, well, then just give them the hydraulics when they want it. Well, by then it's too late. The entrants who started 20 years ago developing this hydraulic technology for the landscaper, they were sustaining innovation and innovation and innovation. They were building an innovation stack around hydraulics, and guess what? It's too late. By the time you actually want to do this stuff and offer it to your existing customers, you can't compete anymore with the entrants. This is the key. And this is why now this is the arc to Tesla. This is why Elon Musk talks about my sustainable competitive advantage will always be my manufacturing prowess. This is what I really am good at, because everybody is going to catch up with my stuff. Everybody's going to copy my stuff. They're all going to do what I'm doing. They're going to do my electric motors. They're going to do my batteries. They're going to do my AI. Everything is copyable. But the one thing which is the hardest is the manufacturing side. And that's where they're not going to be able to compete, because, yeah, they can do what I do, but they won't be able to do it at my cost, at my profitability. So Tesla has to have a premise to always be the cost leader and a profitable company within their markets. This is the best insurance Tesla has against competition. And this is what Elon Musk is saying in his own words when he's saying manufacturing is going to be a long-term sustainable competitive advantage of Tesla. Now let's ask two specific questions as related to chapter 3 and to Tesla. Number 1, is Tesla a disruptor? And number 2, can Tesla be disrupted? First question, is Tesla a disruptor? In the book, in chapter 3, when we look at the excavator industry, we can relate to Tesla in many ways. Not in all the ways, but in many ways. Tesla came to market with an electric powertrain in 2012 for the Model S, and there were certain performance metrics that they overshot, but one particular, the range anxiety, was a problem for most customers. Tesla has solved that problem today, so we can say that this was kind of an entrance into a new market, which was the electric luxury vehicle market. It did not have all the specifications the customers wanted. Now it has. That's why Tesla is leapfrogging now competition, and the end of the ICE age is coming. Can the others catch up? Yes, they are catching up, but Tesla is leading now with sustained innovation, and therefore will have 3 to 5 years advantage constantly, and very similar to the semiconductor playbook and the software playbook. As long as you have 3 to 5 years advantage, it's very difficult for the others to catch up with you. On top of that, of course, Tesla is also innovating in new markets, such as, for example, AI. They're building training technology for AI, so they could even become a cloud provider for video training. They have the supercharging network. They have insurance. They have the photovoltaic side. They have the decarbonization of energy side. So there's a lot of things where Tesla could also build innovation stacks around and expand its offering. And this is a whole new another episode where I want to talk about the fact, something that Christensen isn't actually talking about, and I think for simplicity's reason he is not, which is this new modern innovator, this new modern disruptive innovator like Tesla or Amazon, they are also able to expand their market. They're not just growing into one market and creating an innovation stack within one space. They're a multi-spatial, if you want, they're a multi-spatial species. So they're creating many, many markets, many vectors, and that is also adding to their value, but also make it much more difficult to compete with them. Amazon, I would say, is the best example. The flywheel effect of Amazon is basically that, where you have one product driving the other one, and then there's this continuous proliferation of value and compound of value and compound of knowledge. And I've spoken about the compound interest of knowledge, or the compound of knowledge, that is part of the innovation stack, and that is crucial also when you have several innovation stacks that you're building. So to summarize, in chapter 3, we have established a process, a, 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 a methodology to think about disruptive innovation, and Tesla fits in not all of them, but a lot of them, as far as them disrupting the existing IC market. Now let's ask the other crucial question: does Tesla run the risk of being disrupted, in particular the Chinese entrants which come from the low end? Let's go through it. We've already decided in one of the previous episodes that that is not a risk that we're concerned about, but let's go through it one more time in a more systematic way. So we have a company like Candy, which is basically offering a very low-end skateboard on wheels, nothing special, but it's something that people could use, let's say, for the city. So let's think about it. Are these new markets? Let's say housewife goes shopping, housewives picks up the boys from soccer, things like that. Maybe the post office could use it, Amazon could use it. Are there markets where these very low-end, ugly cars could be used? The answer is yes, there are. There are definitely markets. I think there is the risk that, from a Candy perspective, or those types of Chinese innovators, that those markets will always stay small. So it's a little bit like, yeah, I mean, you could have the post office use your stuff, but then that's it. Or you could have maybe a limited amount of urban housewives using a very small, ugly car just to pick up the kids and things like that. But it's not a large market. Okay, fine. So we've established that. Now let's think about, could these small players creep into a better market? Could they make those ugly, small, low-performing cars better and maybe sell a car for $20,000, which is really good? And I think the answer is yes, they could. But then Tesla is answering the question with a $25,000 car. We have established in the previous episode that the answer to the disruptive innovation coming from China, or from the low end, Tesla's answer is a $25,000 car, a luxury, fancy, AI-driven electric vehicle for $25,000. This is basically, they're killing anybody who wants to compete on that front with Tesla. So to summarize, chapter 3 is giving us a story through the excavator industry, telling us how good managerial decisions lead to failure because companies don't care about the incumbents, because they don't cater to their existing customers. To paraphrase again the quote from the beginning, the patterns of success and failure we see among firms faced with sustaining and disruptive technology change are a natural or systematic result of good managerial decisions. So good managerial decisions lead to failure because your main customers are not being catered for with the new technology. The new technology then creates a new market and then slowly grows into your existing market and takes over. This is what Tesla is doing to the existing car industry. We've also established that Tesla is at this point not at risk of being disrupted from the low end, because they are going from top down to $25,000 and killing that threat.